First of all, let me tell you something. Lamont is just full of
Sometimes my mama said, you know, when you don't have nothing nice to say, you should be quiet.
People say that Stephen A. is a coon. You agree with that? Everybody got quiet on that one, okay? Go ahead.
Rudy Giuliani practices voodoo. So he put a voodoo hex on my girl, Hillary, and that's why she got woozy.
Yo.
And the Secret Service had to prop her up and put her in the van.
Bro, take us to a break, my dude.
It was voodoo, son.
I don't know about that voodoo.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Three Black Guys with a Mic. Welcome to Three Black Guys with a Mic, the podcast where politics meet pop culture and hip-hop debate style. I am your host, Spud, along with my man MJ Scales and Lamont G. Hayes. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so very much for joining us for this MLK Day. Lamont said we needed to be here on MLK Day, so we are here. No holidays for us. We are here for you. If you're on with us right now, let us know who you are, where you are. Check in with us. Tap in. Let us know what city you're representing. We'll definitely give you a shout out if you want to be a part of the show. All you have to do is click the link in the comments and we will put you live on our show. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts. We want you to go off on Maynard. We want you to go off on Lamont. Nobody goes off on me because I don't have an opinion. So we would love for you to be a part of the show. All you have to do is click the link in the actual notes and you will be a part. Let's start with Maynard. What's up with the shirt?
It's all about Stacy, but my dude, it's a Game of Thrones reference. Tell Donald I want him to know it was me. So basically,
Is that right?
Stacy was like, yo, it was me, my dude. You out because of me. I ain't mad at him.
Is he out because of Stacey Abrams?
A large piece of it is. A large piece.
What's up, Marcus? What's up, Dave? All right. Well, happy MLK Day,
What's
everybody.
up, Marcus?
We got a lot to discuss, I think. We got 2 days. What's up, Danielle? We have what? Less than 48 hours?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Donald is out of that, boy?
He be up out of that piece. Let's see. So what is it? It's just 7 o'clock now. You know it's noon on Wednesday, so you do the countdown. We can figure it out. We can figure out the numbers, but yeah.
So how do you feel about Donald being out, Lamont?
Probably about the same that I feel about Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King.
Oh, here we go. What up, Frank? Thanks for checking in with us. Here we go, ladies.
Do you want to run the disclaimer?
How do you feel about Martin Luther the King Day?
Run the disclaimer, Spud.
What?
The views and opinions of what Lamont Hayes is about to say are not the views and opinion of Three Black Guys with the Mic.
I mean, you know, I was just, because I wanted to read it. You know, I saw a couple tweets today from Mitch McConnell from the FBI, their Twitter account, the CIA, all wishing Martin Luther King a happy birthday. And as Mitch McConnell says, Dr. King called on America to truly fulfill our founding principles and provide justice and opportunity for all. His work and his example have brought us a long way, and they inspire us to keep working. And then his daughter, and I'm not going to quote her, but if you saw Bernice's Twitter feed today, she was like, listen, all y'all screaming and hollering, y'all was down with my daddy, Martin Luther King. Y'all was the main ones that was hating on him, calling him a communist, a this, a that, and everything but a child of God. So today, as I tried to call Verizon to take care of some business, because I have an issue with Verizon right now that I want to talk about later. You know, I couldn't even get nobody on for Verizon on the phone today. They said we are closed.
As they should be.
What?
Why should they not be closed to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King, holiday? Everybody should be closed.
Dr. Martin
Every
Luther
business,
King.
except for the essential workers, should be closed.
Why?
Office,
Why? For what?
Why not?
So let me ask you this question.
When we celebrate Abe Lincoln and George Washington, and the next month when we got, President's Day, when we are celebrating the man who claimed that he came across from Europe and discovered America, banks is closed.
So here's my
Verizon is closed.
So here's
They
my
need to be
question.
closed for the black man too. too.
So here's my question, and this goes to you and Maynard. I was watching this documentary the other day on PBS, and maybe it's not a new one, but it was about HBCUs. And
Tell them we're rising.
Yes, and it was a very historical thing or whatever. And then there was a piece in there about the HBU where one of the commentators asked a question. And they talked about how, you know, the sit-ins at the lunch counters and things of that nature, how we were forcing integration, and how Martin Luther King was a big advocate for peaceful protests.
First of all,
What?
wait.
What? What? I can't call him Martin Luther King?
No.
That was his name.
First of all,
Yo.
he's not Martin Luther the King. Okay, he's just Martin Luther King.
Spud.
He's not Martin Luther the King. He's just Martin Luther King.
Spud. Martin Luther the King.
That's the problem with us black folks. We always got to put our own slang on it. We always got to put our own spin on it.
Martin Luther the King is for the culture. I'm sorry. That's for the culture,
and
my
wait.
dude.
And just so we want to make sure we clear. The birth name was Michael, and it wasn't even Martin, correct?
Very true. Yes.
Okay, so if we're going to go with this whole foolishness of messing up the name anyway, let's just keep it going. But let's get back to the documentary real quick, because I know we got a run of show and show notes. And this person in the documentary, again, was talking about, again, it was a little segment on Martin Luther King, because it was a period piece. And the lady said, was integration really a good thing? Because as we went through the integration piece and this peaceful protest at Martin Luther King Jr., like a lot of things in our community suffered because we were busy trying to take goods and services from our community and put them in a community that didn't belong to us. So do we credit Martin Luther King for a partial way of dismantling the urban community to a point because we were focused on taking our services, our goods and services and patronizing outside of our community? Was that a good?
What would you have rather? Would you have rather for us to be separate but equal?
I don't know. I feel like sitting at the Woolworth lunch counter when Miss Hattie was out there selling dinners out the back door. I mean, at 50, I'm going with Miss Hattie. I'm not going to Woolworths. I'm good. Especially at that time. And that's just me. I don't know. I'm just asking the question. As we reflect on Martin Luther King and where we are in 2021, you feel what I'm saying? Like, I mean, just think about it. You know, and let's take Detroit, for example. You know, Detroit is, I shouldn't say is, but for Southfield, Dearborn, and Troy, a lot of dollars were taken from the city and taken to those places because we always were told, oh, that's Somerset. Oh, we going to Fairlane. Back in the day when Northland was around, we got to go to Northland and go shopping. When I heard somebody say this the other day, you know, somebody in your neighborhood that has a boutique could get you the same dress or make you the same suit. Did that hurt us?
Is somebody stopping people from going to the woman who makes the dress?
But if we're following Martin because he's been pumped to us like a new young good God, new what's the little boy's name?
I don't know. But let me say this.
Pick one.
So, but here's the thing, and I get you. That there are some unintended consequences of desegregation. My mother is a school teacher all her life, and she taught in both a segregated school system and a desegregated school system. And what she noticed is when we were in the segregated school system, that black teachers cared a lot more about black students. And when we got to the desegregated system, that the white teachers did not care near as much, or there was in fact hostility. In fact, my first kindergarten, first, second grade was still a segregated school. Or the schools were still segregated, but my school was not necessarily as segregated as others. I do remember there was a big strike. I think I was in second grade, going into third grade, because white teachers did not want to teach black students as they merged these school districts. So that was a whole thing. And certainly there are parts of the community that suffered, but I think the larger piece is you look at some of the other portions of the protest. At train stations, buses, other types of services. We wanted to have service for us for the dollars that we showed up with. In addition to that, I pay my taxes. I want to be able to ride the bus because the bus is largely funded not by as much as you may think by riders, but by the government. It's a large part, large parts of how this thing operates. Trains, other facilities, schools, largely is based on tax dollars. My tax dollars go in here. And you know what I'm saying, where my money is, I got something to say about that too. So why should I pay and then show up and not get the services that everyone else gets for the same dollar?
Okay, I got that. And I just got one more question. I'm gonna let this go. If Martin Luther King was alive today and Donald Trump was the president and Donald spewed some of the I'm gonna put my foot up your butt rhetoric that he has done towards a lot of different communities, the shithole countries, the grab them by the peas and all of that. What would Martin Luther King Jr., what do you think he would have said about that? Should we have went just to the mountaintop and drink, lay down, go to sleep and have a dream? I mean, let's just pray it out. I mean, what do you think based on we understanding what his teachings were? At least till he got killed, because allegedly, once the final days of this, who I still consider to be a good guy, a great cat, because it did show a lot of patience and praying to the white Jesus, for somebody to throw a rock at you and you not want to throw one back. But that's a whole nother mind game. So what do you think Martin would have said today?
He would have denounced this totally offhand. It'd have been done. Now, also, I think if a Dr. King had lived, let's say, through the mid '80s, and remember, he would have been a very old man if he was alive today. So let's say he'd have lived through the mid '80s. I don't think that a Donald Trump would have ever been elected president if he had. I think the trajectory that he tried to help the country go, the course he was trying to help the country move to, that we would not have regressed. His death allowed for a regression back into some of the worst ways of our society and some of the worst ways of our own people. Not that we did anything bad, but I know my grandfather was a civil rights activist. And my mother is always the kind of person that's just like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. It's too painful. I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to go through it. So a lot of what I had to learn about civil rights and the struggle was from my grandfather, who was an aged man at the time. But did we lose something when we lost King? Did we lose something in our parents, our parents' age, that they didn't carry forward anymore? At least I'm always curious about that with my own mother. I felt like she didn't just say, it's my turn to pick it up. And I think as a result, we lost some momentum.
Well, you know what? I was listening to the Honorable Joanne Watson. Shout out to Joanne Watson. For everybody who does not live in the Metro Detroit area, Joanne Watson was a city council member for years and years and years on the city of Detroit. She was on the radio today, and she said some things that I think that is important to put into perspective. And that is the height of unity between Black people during that time, during Martin Luther King's time, when we were very, very open to supporting each other, and especially for the city of Detroit. And she went into very, 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 very great detail about how Martin Luther King, how a bunch of preachers from around the world and in the city of Detroit did not want for Martin Luther King to come and speak and march with C.L. Franklin, and I think it was called the Freedom March, before that people did not want for him to do that. And Martin Luther King was saying that, you know what, no, I am actually going to come and march. And how Aretha Franklin actually supported Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson and all the checks that she wrote. And, let's not forget, it was a young Berry Gordy who put that, Martin Luther, I Have a Dream speech on, record before anybody else.
That's right.
So I think that during that time, we were more open-minded to actually supporting each other, not just from, a cause perspective, but from a business perspective. You could go, my grandfather, speaking of, what you were saying about your parents, man, but my grandfather was just a local handyman. All right. Now, this man didn't have no education, never went to school for carpentry or construction or none of that. But he was the one that you called to put your roof on or put, he would help you with your motor. And there was plenty of people that, we had in the community. Oh, take that down to Mr. James, or, such and such Mr. Douglas, or, on the South Side. He'll fix your car for you. Don't worry about it. Give him a 6-pack of beer. Life is great. And that was the unity that we had during that time. I think that as we continue to fight for integration, we started to get a little, I want to be on the white man's side. And we kind of left a little of the unity behind. We became more open-minded to impressing other cultures. And the sad part about it is, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, Manny, you probably know more than, than me on this situation. But as we started to, grow and get more economically wealthy, more education, and we just got more opportunities, period, because you think about it, in Martin Luther King's time, most of us couldn't even go to the library. We couldn't even check out a book in the library. We could not go on a certain part of town. Don't forget that there were plenty of, sundown towns, across America. We were still using a green book during this time. But as we continue to grow, I think that what has happened is that we were trying to be more impressive of white people and more inclusive of white people. And I think that we have gotten more, and I think that we have gotten to the point to where, for the lack of a better phrase, we forgot where we came from. And we just got to the point to where it's just kind of like, yo, I'd rather be like the white man.
Well, Manny, before you stab, let me just say this to Spud, because I'm with you. I feel like when we all have a common cause, or something to rally around, like when somebody used to say, when somebody's foot is on our neck, and I want to shout out Ashanti Smith. You all remember the black security guard in D.C., the one that punched the lady that we saw in the video? Security guard, the young girl, 28. You remember her?
I don't.
It was so much that was going on. But anyway, young security guard, private company, wasn't even Capitol Police, 28-year-old black girl, surrounded by Trump supporters. They started to assault the girl, pulling off her mask. They telling her to chill. And one of the ladies, I think, grabbed her, and she's the one that punched the white lady in the nose. And that's the portion that they put on all over the news. Well, the reason why I bring
I saw. Yeah,
the reason why I bring her up is because, she was charged, and they put up a GoFundMe for her. Her goal was 85G. She got 225,000, still counting, because they saying we are going to rally behind this young black girl who was out there just trying to make her little $12.50 an hour, and she was surrounded. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like, Spud, when we have causes, when we have things to rally around, we kind of step up to the plate. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, but I think that therein lies the problem, though.
What?
It's kind of like we're family, right? I can talk about you, but you can't say nothing bad. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else can say bad. You know what I'm saying? Anything bad.
Right.
But at the same time, I think that the problem in that is that we come together for just for a second, and then that's it. And then we out.
But it's a lot
So
pulling at us.
so I
It's a
think
lot
cool,
pulling at us.
So to your point about Somerset, we are more likely to go to Somerset than to go to Simply Casual.
Yes.
I mean, we are more likely to spend our dollars elsewhere than we are in our own neighborhoods. And I mean, gosh, I mean, we could talk 2 hours on why that is.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just those been handed down. I mean, and we'll talk about, you know what I'm saying, American Skin, and we'll talk about, you know, whatever, what's in Regina King's movie in a minute, but which all of those things, you know what I'm saying, address these issues. But we are more segregated as a people than we are integrated as a people, in my opinion.
Yo, we
amongst each other.
We got Marcus Farrell on the line. Y'all want to give Marcus a little bit of love? Let him get in on this. I know he's got something to say.
What's up, Marcus?
What's up, Marcus?
Marcus, why can't? When are we gonna be on your show? That's what I want to know.
Man,
when y'all ask, man, y'all put up.
I mean, when you gonna invite us on your show? You know, I mean, I understand that, you know, y'all doing big things and y'all got big time interviews and you know, y'all on, you know, Urban View and all that. I mean, don't forget about the little people now.
Good afternoon, y'all.
What's up, brother? How you feel, brother Marcus?
What's happening? First, y'all put up an open eCam link, knowing that Negroes is going to click on buttons fast as hell. So
that's all Maynard,
like
brother.
Chat.
We try to control him, but he's wild.
Yo, y'all put stuff like that in the chat room. Negroes might just show up. How y'all doing, man? and we are going through at Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. We're going through a couple of changes, trying to, I guess, move things around and get a little bit more centered. But just like you guys, we've been growing, and there will be a formal invitation, invitation, put out sometime soon. Our lineup is kind of growing, man. You know, we can't let people bastardize the legacy of King. And before I'm not going to knock him. I mean, everybody was fallible, but I'm not going to knock him for being who he was. What I'm going to knock is his legacy people who allowed his name and the work that him, Abernathy, and so many others, Maynard, it's
Young,
the legacy folks, that the generation right under them, who took advantage of the movement that was made and created the Cosby generation. Right, they are problematic to me. Right now, don't get me wrong. They are also the people who raised me. They're also the people who I look at for some inspiration. But they're also the one of the first generations that benefited off of upper middle class and lower upper class wealth. And you know, the democratic socialist in me, and the Black democratic socialist in me, and let me clarify that, also kind of sort of recognizes that the I got mine generation and pull your pants up generation is what King's legacy was held on to by a lot of folks. Like, you know, like we got here and we're acceptable by white folks. You need to do things that are acceptable by white folks, even though understanding that being Black and fighting for freedom is original in itself. And we could have created whole generations of Black people that embrace their Blackness. Some of these generations allow white folks to police Black women's hair. Some of these generations allowed white folks to put one Black person at the table, and then they represented all of Blackendom, right? Some of these folks. So I'm not knocking them, but what I do understand is that we allowed the perverted sense of what Dr. Martin Luther King was. We allowed his legacy to become perverted for a capitalistic regime that will use his words and his quotes to justify inaction for the complete Black community, right? And then have a breakfast on his birthday, or have a march on his birthday and say, "See, we did something Black. Now we're done." right? And the other 364 days of the year, no one is practicing what Dr. King actually spoke on. So my beef is not
hold
with
on,
him.
Marcus. Let me ask you
Yeah.
this question, not to cut you off mid-sentence,
Yeah, that's
but
all right.
that's one of the reasons why, and I said it in a jokingly manner, but I think we're speaking the same thing when his daughter and what she tweeted this morning about all of the people who are now, and I'm paraphrasing now, singing his praises were the same ones that were, rooting for his demise. So my question is, do you feel that during the work, as you called it, when Dr. King was doing the work, that there also could have been a focus or a conversation or some energy towards continuing to preserve our community? Because I still feel like with the work, our community suffered because a lot of our energy and resources were so focused on not, I don't know if where I'm going, I know where I'm going, but not supporting our own community, our own, guy with the, well, we're gonna go get our hair done, but just always going, and I just use Woolworths as an example. I still wanted to focus and for it to be said that we still got to support, Miss Hattie. She's selling dinners out of the back door. You know what I mean? And I think, when I was talking about this documentary I saw, that was one of the questions, and I've heard this before, was that a mistake for us not to also really focus on our community during that time?
I mean, I got to push back on you a little bit on that thought process, and the reason why is because hell, when we were boycotting, who the hell you think we went to?
Miss Hattie.
Yeah, right. So, I don't think it was because I want to separate the two.
Okay.
The focus was always on Black businesses and empowering Black businesses, even in the 60s. While the civil rights movement, ain't nobody tell them to like, all right, let me put you on the board of Fortune 500 company. After King died, that's when Black folks started getting board positions, right? And they would take their Blackness and they would allow spaces for them to infiltrate our communities. They would allow spaces for them to come and put like the McDonald's in the community with no Black ownership, and then also allow these same board members would also get elected to positions of power. And well, I want to put my business in the Black community. That the exploitation of the Black community started. Well, it was always there, but it started heavy-handedly after King died, and that is no one's fault, but the sort of respectability Negroes that decided that, okay, I got mine. I'm on this board. Hey, board chair. How about this right here? I have 40 acres in the Black community that you guys can develop on right now. Instead of saying, hey, board chair, you need to put money into this Black-owned, Black-ran trust so Black businesses can have those 40 acres or 30 acres within the community, right? So, and they would use King's name and his legacy and their prowess off of that to create that gatekeeper status, right? King was the gate, and the folks that were opening the gate were using his name and letting white corporations into it. So we had to to the point where now we have to make a specific focus on creating Black Tulsas and creating Black Rosewoods and creating Black areas that are financially independent, when we should have been, instead of taking that $200,000 job or $70,000 board position in the 70s, they should have said, okay, well, the next step to further King's legacy is y'all take some of those government provisions that y'all knew y'all did when y'all took away resources because of your redlining and took away political power because of Reconstruction. Let's reverse that. That's the next step after King, right? Great, we can vote now. When y'all vote me in, understand that the Black community is not asking for handouts. We're asking for equitable peace that y'all have systematically taken away from us. So my pushback is, I don't think the focus ever was lost during the civil rights movement. I think once the civil rights movement was over, people got comfortable.
That's part of the reason why I think that if King had lived longer into the 80s, we would have still been on that same trajectory, right? If you go back and think about when the civil rights bill was signed, when the Fair Housing Rights, et cetera, Voting Rights Act, and you think about that and think about that, say 10 years earlier, 54, we were nowhere where we were in 54 and where we were in 64 and 65 and 66. They were at least 100 years apart in theory. And we made this huge leap largely because King and others had coalesced and done this thing. Then as that thing happened, we were moving in this direction. That thing was happening. Had he continued to live, we probably wouldn't have had Good Times as a TV show or all the Pimps and the Pushers and all that kind of stuff. We probably wouldn't have had all of the challenges, not to say things that King and company were going to install a utopia. That wasn't going to happen, but we probably would have been able to move the ball a lot much further forward. After King passes, after King is assassinated by a white man among other white men, we lost. There was a huge gash in our kite. Like our kite just started to drift and it fell. We haven't seen the type of leadership, whether you like the nonviolent thing or not, whether you agree with Christianity or Islam, or what, we had not seen a leader that had the kind of power on multiple in front of multiple audiences like King for our community since.
Yes, we have. They just got disempowered.
Who?
Well, okay, for instance, we could talk about Jesse. We could talk about Farrakhan. We could talk about Al. We could talk about the current Black Lives Matter leaders, whether you like them or not. Mm-hmm. We could talk about so many black folks across the nation that can or could have held it down, but there was a systematic disempowerment to make sure that there was no black messiah.
But the beauty, if that's the disempowerment, the beauty is they have been assassinated, other than Fred Hampton, right? But I would if tomorrow Jesse passes, I would not be anxious to lobby for a holiday for Jesse Jackson, and that's not like necessarily a litmus test on how great of a leader or poor of a leader is. I think knowing some of the things that I know, participating in some of the things I participated in radio in Chicago, right. I realized that there was a political activist, and there's a civil rights activist, and there's a civil rights capitalist, and some people fall into that second category. So and the line gets blurred.
Wait. So Spud, let me ask you a question because I want to make sure.
I'm just listening.
I'm with you. We got to stop this. So, did we just hear Maynard say that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was not human?
I didn't say that.
I'm asking Spud, Maynard. Give me 1 second. Hear that? Because I heard that. Because the way he just kind of threw a little dirt on Jesse. You know what I mean?
I think what Maynard is saying is that there's such a pedestal that we put Dr. King on that no one has been able to reach that particular type of stature, that, we followed and rallied behind enough to keep the movement going.
Or Spud. Or was Simon and Schuster in the boardroom saying, we're going to manufacture this great leader for...
I think both of those things happen. I think what Marcus is saying is correct. I think what you're saying is correct. I think what Maynard is saying is correct. I think that after Dr. King, there was a political agenda, there was a economical agenda, and that we got so dismantled, not just from these economical situations where Marcus was saying, whether it be redlining, whether it be, oh, I want to move to the suburbs, I want better housing, I want to be able to, strive to be able to have these other things. I'm now in the boardroom and I got a 2-car garage and I got a nice car and I live in the suburbs, and all these other Negroes, living on, in the neighborhood, I no longer know about them as well. So I think that, we kind of we just went so many different ways, along with, talking about Fred Hampton, I mean, here's another threat. Here is, there's just so many different threats that, that the government saw that, you know what I'm saying, corporations saw that they felt like, oh, look, we can keep these situations under control. So I don't think Maynard is saying that, you know what I'm saying, that Dr. King is not human. I just think that, you know what I'm saying, Jesse, Al, who I respect, who I think, you know what I'm saying, is probably one of the better ones, you know what I'm saying, in this situation. I mean, I think that, you know what I'm saying, but I don't think that anybody would ever get to the status of, or we will put anybody on the status of King, Malcolm X. Farrakhan is probably the closest one that we can rally behind.
I gotta add something to this. First off, there was no Martin Luther King when he was alive. There's never been a Martin Luther King, and what I mean by that is,
They hadn't been seen.
when Martin was alive, he was polling at 23% acceptability, somewhere around 30% within the black community.
Yes.
Right? That's when he died, that's when he became this icon that we turned into a McDonald's Happy Meal character. Right? Like it didn't happen when he was alive. And therefore different brothers took different routes to express their blackness and their pro-blackness and what they wanted to do for the community. And a lot of these brothers went the corporate route. And when I say corporate, I mean the DNC and the Democratic Party and on their terms of what was acceptable and wasn't acceptable, right? So a lot of brothers was pushing blackness through the lens of a political party that was a corporation, right? So there's not much difference as you being on the board of the DNC than you are being on the board of Chase Manhattan Bank, right? You're built to actually bring people to the fold and allow your narrative and your bottom line to get pushed within black communities, right? I mean, hell, it was what 2010 before. I mean, the year 2000 before black folks actually stopped taking money from the private prison industry. Right? That is how many years is that since King died? Maybe 34, 35, right? So I mean, all I'm saying is this right here is I'm going to use my words very carefully. Because we are quick to. Yeah, I know, but I want to just because there's a certain reverence with this one right here. Some of these cats are sellouts, right? But we have to understand the dynamic that they were put in. We didn't come together and keep a safe space to talk about black community, right? We allowed Bill Clinton to play the saxophone on Arsenio Hall's show, and we can no longer talk about black equity and policing in the black communities from that moment on. FTP, fuck the police. You know, that mentality was shunned upon, even though we knew that the police were coming to our communities at a higher rate. But even our black leadership was down with that. That's why there was a bipartisan, multicultural effort to create the 94 crime bill.
Wow. Your Marcus came up here and dropped some jewels on us. My dude, Marcus, my man, Emmanuel wanted to know.
Y'all kicking me out?
Huh?
Y'all kicking me out now?
No.
We're going to hold you hostage for that next show slot.
My man Emmanuel wants to definitely know you're telling everybody when we can catch Clickbaity and your socials and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's on YouTube we are Political Thirst Trap, or just Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. Twitter we are C Thirst Trap. We come on from 8:30 till 9:30 ish every night, starting tomorrow night again. And you can catch me at Marcus for America on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh, so y'all on every day? I've been telling them that we need to go on every day, but they don't want to do it.
Whoa, you are lying. First of all,
that's
you
just
lying.
taxing, bro.
They've been saying, you know, I've been like, man, we got to go on every single day. I'm telling you, Clickbait is killing us. They're like, nope, we don't want to do it.
Well, Clickbait don't want to share no love with us.
What is all this right here? What is all this resentment? I'm just showing up.
Don't share no love.
Bro, first, pause. I'm here right now. We can no longer live in the past.
Okay.
You know, yeah. And, you know, everything that you guys are doing, shout out to Mondale, which, you know, you guys are doing big things, man. We're proud of, you know what I'm saying, you guys, you know, continue to grow the show, continue to, you know what I'm saying, spread the truth, yes. You know, continue to educate and inspire, man. You know, I'm a fan. Keep doing your thing, man. We truly appreciate you coming on. We look forward to, doing the same thing and, coming on and just continue to just, sharpen the iron, man. Iron sharpens iron. So
I got an idea. I got an idea for you guys. I got an idea for everybody. What we were thinking about is having sort of a new Black State of the Union. Kind of like the one they did about 20 years ago when Cornell didn't have any gray hair. Right. And Travis Smiley, and this is at the beginning of the Obama administration. They had a State of the Black, and I think we should actually do something like that and get multiple minds that are of the Black diaspora in America that does progressive politics all come together. And when I say progressive, I mean Black, because every Black person is progressive until we decide to opt out.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I'm in. I'll bring these two along. We in? Lamont, you in?
Whatever you need from us.
I gotta talk to my manager, man. No, we good, brother.
It's always one.
No problem. We there.
How many percentage points am I gonna get? I'll talk to you.
Yo, thanks, Marcus. We appreciate you coming through, my dude.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Make sure, you check out Clickbaity, Political Thirst Trap, Marcus Mondale, good people. Also, if if you want to be on the show, you can do the same thing as Marcus did. There's a link in this, in the comments. All you have to do is click the link. We'll put you on live. You can share your comment with everybody else that's on. Also, if you just want to just type it in, we could do that as well. Let's get to the movies. American Skin, I saw yesterday, and I saw One Night in Miami. Which is Regina King's movie. I'll go last. Lamont, I'll let you go first because you always got the commentary.
I say we go with Maynard because Maynard's gonna come with the kumbaya. Oh, it's a great Black film and blah blah blah.
It is a great Black film. It's not a great Black film.
So first, let me just say.
Were there any whores in this one?
No whore. Yes, everybody was no whores. But you know what, Regina King, she doesn't play that. She in terms of she wasn't the final say because if I'm not mistaken, she was a director of the piece. Not the producer. So there were still a lot of other hands in that space. And what was very interesting to me was looking at some of the producers in the beginning of the film, and some of those companies I'm very familiar with. I thought the One Night in Miami, I thought it was slow, but it did pick up. I did enjoy the casting. I know there's one person in this group that's not a fan of Tariq Nasheed. We're not going to say who it is on this podcast, but
I don't care for Tariq Nasheed.
but Tariq said something that I thought even before I heard what he said. I kind of felt a little some kind of way about the Malcolm X character. When I saw him, I don't know why, but I felt Barack. He just felt like Barack Obama. He felt very not as spicy as Malcolm is. I don't know if that was a Amazon thing or that was a Regina thing. Malcolm was spicy. Now he was with his homeboy, so maybe in this fictional piece, because it was fictional, right, Maynard?
It was inspired by true events.
It's largely, I think much of it is fictional. But what I've read about it is that Jim Brown, who's still with us,
yes,
had provided a great deal and filled in a lot of the questions. So I don't know.
Okay. And again, I'm not a super fan of Jim Brown, but I liked his character. And I thought it was cool. The sleeper or the winner of the piece to me was Sam Cooke. There was a lot of things that he said. And again, I'm biased because it was all musical stuff about the Womack thing, about the publishing, all of that. That's all very true. And it's funny because one of the companies that's a producer of the film is the publishing company that holds all of his publishing today. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw that in the beginning, because I know some people that work there, I said, oh, okay, I see it. And I think from that perspective, there were a lot of little gems in the movie, of the struggle of the Black man at that time and even today. I'm like, okay, I get it. I mean, am I going to give it the best of 2021? It's January. No, I'm good on that.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I felt like I did feel like it was a little slow. I think it was meant to be that way. Just as we are going along with, we riding with Sam Cooke, we riding with Jim Brown, we riding with Ali. We all on that, and we ready to go and party. And then Malcolm says, we turning the rhetoric, we turning it all the way down. And so I think we, or the viewer, at least where I was sitting, I was ready to go out and celebrate with Muhammad, with Cassius Clay at the time. And Malcolm changed the direction, and okay, it is what it is. But I think there were a lot of gems in it. I think it was an interesting look. I'm proud of Regina. I'm always Team Regina King. I think she's amazing, and I'm glad I watched it. I wouldn't say it was the best movie that I've seen, but I definitely enjoyed it.
So wait a minute, Spud. So, man, let me ask you this. So do you think that's one of the reasons subconsciously we watched, and B, that we were rooting for it because it had Regina's name on it? Because in our community, Regina is one of our gems. She's one of our queens. She's one of the ones that has from 227, and there probably was some work that she did before that, all the way till now. Oh, girl, been killing it. So if, I don't know,
she was on What's Happening.
Mr. Weinstein would have directed it, would we have felt the same?
She was What's Happening Now before 227. Yes. That would have been it. I would have. I mean, let me say this one last thing about it. Yes, I probably did. I am partial to Regina, so I'll give her that much, and that's just me saying that I like Regina King. But the trailer, I'll say this: the trailer and the promo made me think it was about to be like, it's on, and the trailer was way up here, and the movie came and brought it down here. But oh yeah, she did some Boondocks voices. So that's my take on it.
Mr. Spence?
I thought it was okay. I thought, like you guys said, I thought it was, I thought it started off slow. I think, I'm saying I think you kind of needed that in order to be able to kind of get to where it was. I thought that once we got into the thick of it, I thought that from there on, it really, set a lot of, if you're a Malcolm fan, if you were, if you read about Malcolm and Sam Cooke and, Jim Brown and, even Muhammad, to be able to see it, portrayed out on the big screen, knowing that those are true stories, and where Malcolm was with the nation at that time, where Sam Cooke was, what Sam Cooke, Cooke did, for Black artists, and what he was all about. I think that, that really, really, really helped out a lot. Even Jim Brown, at that time, because while now Jim Brown is kind of a question mark, but during that time, I mean, you got to give Jim Brown his props.
Jim was big.
He was there to fight for civil rights, during that time, especially when Muhammad was going through his thing with the government. So I think that what I liked was you didn't know that they were friends and that they had a relationship. I think that what Regina did in regards to casting was good because you were able to look at a fresh face without putting in your mind this is somebody else. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes, you can have a character. Like I remember when in Ali, when Mario Van Peebles played Malcolm X, and I was like, absolutely not. It's an absolute no. This is a no, at all. And while, the guy, didn't nail Malcolm from a visual perspective or even from a voice perspective, I think he carried the role. I think that it was good for Amazon. I think that, I wouldn't have paid my money you know what I'm saying, for it. I mean, I would have probably been a little bit disappointed, but good for Regina King. I think that that's good. I mean, that was a pretty good, interesting historical, piece. And to know that from what I read, that is how a change did come about from that argument, from that conversation. So I think that, that was good. So Robbie, yes, you should
see it, Robbie.
the movie.
If
should
you already
definitely
got
check it out.
Amazon.
Everybody who was on with us, I think that, you should definitely check out, One Night in Miami. It's not, it's a good Saturday, Sunday night, on the couch popcorn movie.
Not Sunday night, because after dinner you might go to sleep on it. So let's go early evening. Can we do that?
How about American Skin?
It's a good matinee. Go get up on Saturday, clean up, pop you some popcorn, watch it. It's a good Saturday matinee. Let's move on to American Skin. Go ahead, Lamont.
No. Y'all don't want to hear my opinion.
Yes, I do. I want you to get it out.
Well, that's one of the ones I will say that I did click the button. I went on Apple TV. I gave Spike my money. I did not use
Nate Parker your money, actually.
Yeah, Nate. I'm sorry.
No, Spike was the executive producer though, so Spike got some checks off of that.
Yeah,
so I got some checks.
Yeah. It was on Fire Stick, but I didn't do that. I went to Apple TV, and I do have my receipt. If we need to put it in the chat. Now this is the total opposite because I think it went very fast. I think it felt like the movie was kind of short. I did enjoy it. I understood it. I kind of shouldn't say this, but I thought there was going to be some violence towards police. But I noticed that it wasn't. I don't know if that was by design or that was told you can't put violence in, towards the cops, so we won't put this out. And of course, at the end, if you didn't see it, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell the end, but
you should not.
You always know what happens to the black man.
Lakeisha's saying that she needs to just take a moment to relax before she sees American Skin. And let me say this. American Skin was hard. I found myself not even the parts where the conflict between the officers occurred. There were a handful of lines that Nate Parker delivered and interactions and dialogue that Nate Parker had with others where I was like, I'm trying to think of how I would handle it if I knew that my own child was not coming home. And that's very, I get, my blood pressure rises. And when they hear the woman that was his ex-wife or wife, or I don't know what it kind of was not a whole 100% apparent that's what was happening, say, just come home. You're the only thing that connects me back to him. That shit hurt. That was tough.
Hey, you know what? And let me add, Maynard. It was a scene in there, and I know we're not supposed to say it, and this was made, again, I've never had a child. I get it. But the scene where he said that how it made him feel that he couldn't do anything about it. Like, if we want to give anybody an A for acting, like, dude made me really believe that in that time frame that movie was on, that was real, that wasn't like, so he played that part. He gets a W for me on that. But again, we always know what happens to the black dude at the end. And again, there's somebody on this podcast that does not like Tariq Nasheed, but Tariq said this.
I don't like Tariq Nasheed.
Movies have been and continue to be used as a tool, as a way of subliminally saying certain things, just like when Birth of a Nation came out. There was a reason why that movie was in theaters all across the country. And we'll just leave it at that.
So, Lakeisha, I would just say, if you're not prepared to see this, and you feel like if you run like I run, like my heart is like, I'm concerned about these things or whatever, and you are easy to upset, you don't want to see this just yet, because that That's the kind of thing that makes you really like, you want to talk about at the end of it, taking a nap. Like after that, my emotions were such that I was like, I need to just lay down and just shut down for a minute and just relax because it had me upset. Mr. Spence.
Why the ball always get to be thrown to me?
Lamar had his say.
Because you're part of the podcast, Charles Spud Spence.
Lamar had
AKA
his say.
Spud.
I had my say. Now it's time for you to.
It's three black guys, not two.
I did not see. I don't know what was going on. So hey, Lakeisha, and hey, Kelly, and hey, Calvin, and everybody who is jumped on. This is what I would say to Lakeisha, who hasn't seen it, and anyone else who hasn't seen it. I said this about, I think we talked about this with Your Honor, which is on Showtime. I think that, let me back up. Let me back up for two reasons. I did a documentary, 2 years ago. I produce not produce documentaries, but a lot of movie trailers and work with clients who do movies and that type of stuff. So I know what it takes to do a movie, right? Most movies don't make money. Let's just go there. And let's just go back to Birth of a Nation, where Nate Parker said, I'm not gonna do any other movie until I play Nat Turner. That was his, he was not doing any other roles from Hollywood until he did that, went out, sold the movie, got the money up and everything on his own dime, on his own hustle, no help. So I give Nate Parker credit just for that. He did the same thing for this movie, where he's out going to get the money for the movie. To do movies, that's, first of all, to take over a police station is not an easy thing to do, all right, as a movie producer. All right, to get helicopters and, and cameras and cars and all that other stuff, that's difficult to do. But what I took away from this movie is there is truth in this movie. And when you look at like Your Honor, there's truth in the narrative that is being portrayed on the screen, which is a good thing because these are the things that Black artists have been trying to do for years, is which to tell our stories and put them on a big screen. These things have happened to Black men and Black kids for decades at this point, and now we're able to see these things on the big screen. What I took away from this movie was at the end when the news came on. And when the news came on and they depicted him in a way that was so not true, but that is what the news does. They portray Black men in a way that is not true. And this was just a man who was enraged at the fact that he didn't get justice for his child being killed. But going back to Manor's point about the dialogue, I was so happy that he was able to put the dialogue in the movie from all perspectives. It wasn't just about, Black men are the victims and you only get to run with that narrative. You were able to hear the cop's perspective and the regular, just average Joe perspective. You were able to see how everybody was feeling and what their thoughts were about police brutality, Black on Black crime, the way Black men are portrayed, the way that Black people treat each other. And I thought that was a really strong dialogue for him to put that in there, because it gave everybody an opportunity to be able to have a voice heard, rather than, it's just the police fault. And we don't even get to hear why the police do this, or what the police feel, or how the police feel, And I think that was really, that made the movie for me, because that made me say, thank you for allowing me to have a window into seeing yo, 9 times out of 10, they're profiling. But the bulk of that, which is pretty true, is they trying to go home just like we're trying to go home. And if it's us versus them, it's probably going to be us. So we have to learn how to, unfortunately, be able to de-escalate the situation. And the sad part about it is that the boy was right. The boy had the rights to actually do what he was doing, but because of the narrative for years and years and years, if you think about it, not just in this movie, but in regular dialogue, when you look at Freddie Gray and you look at, Tamir Rice, and you look at all of these people and the way that the police. I was just looking at something the other day where the police grabbed the boy off of his own porch, and the way that he was yelling and screaming at the kid. This is real life.
You know what's funny though?
This is the way, and I'm done right after this. Mm-hmm. But this is the way that the police feel like they can speak to young black kids with authority and just vulgarness and hostility, with no understanding or dialogue or de-escalating the conversation. They are yelling in your face like a military soldier because you have been taught to be put in this position. And that's unfortunate. Sorry, Maynard, go ahead.
It's all good. So one of the things that was said in the movie, which actually is a part of how the training goes, is the cop said, yo, we're not taught to de-escalate. When a gun is drawn, the gun is drawn. It does not go backwards. It does. Right. It comes out, it goes this way. It doesn't come back this way. So once that gun is out, that's there it is. Then watching, we talked about this a little bit. I rewatched the documentary about the Rodney King beating in that whole trial. And that was on either on Netflix or Amazon, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's called LA something. LA is burning. That's not LA is burning, but I think it's like LA 92 or something like that.
Something like that.
It's on Netflix, yeah.
And there was a cop that came on, a black cop, that came on and said, when they leave the precinct, the police officer leaves the precinct, and they know that today they're going to go into this community. They're going into this community to have a soda or a milkshake and look at cute girls and chit chat with people and maybe, help the guy pour the gas in his lawnmower and admire people and do whatever. They know when they come into when they're assigned to go into other neighborhoods, they call that going into a hot zip. I'm here in this neighborhood today to make arrests. That's what they're trying. That's what they attempt to do. And so I noticed when I lived in the D and I got pulled over one time in Detroit by a black cop. He talked to me. Hey man, you were going a little bit fast. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was on Woodward leaving. Then it was Agave. And I was on my way to Oak Park, which is just 2 miles outside of Detroit. I got pulled over one time in Rochester, and the approach was altogether different. Now, this isn't a neighborhood issue because Detroit would historically and probably on percentages would have a higher crime rate than Rochester or Troy. It was somewhere like that. John R. and 14. What is that? Is that Troy? Troy. Which for those who don't know.
One side is Madison Heights, other side is Troy. But
okay.
Ahead. Closer.
And the approach was that his, hands already on the, at the side. And I was just like, that's so, and it was 2 p.m. on a Saturday. And so the level of intimidation that this man was bringing to me was through the roof. Cause look, what was it that I have done? And, similar to American Skin, it was, I think you're going a little bit fast. Really, for me at the time, for that one was, you didn't signal a lane change. When you take in consideration a lane change, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a let me put my hand on my gun situation. That's let me write you a ticket or give you a warning or, let me just check all your information to make sure you're straight. And so, I gave the man all my stuff and that was all great. And, but that other thing that happens, the other cop comes around the other side and he's looking in the window and he's saying, roll down the window on this side. I like to see inside. And then you pull over and then all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like, okay, well, it's taking them so long. Like, I got, in insurance, tags, license, I'm golden. Then another cop car appears. And I'm like, okay, this is not going to go right. Now, fortunately, at some point, they just wrote me a ticket and let me go. But that level of fear and intimidation involved with that, although I knew that I was in good shape, I knew that there was not an issue, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. So,
I mean, even if you just look at it from the beginning of the movie, right? At the beginning of the movie, when the police officer comes up to the car, you already are in position to make sure that your hands are seen and that you are not any threat at all. That's the position we have to be put in, to make sure that we are de-escalating the scenario before the police even get to our cars. My aunt said this, a couple of weeks ago. And I found myself doing this the other day. The police were behind me, and I'm like driving, and I'm thinking to myself, like, wait, why am everything on my joint is great. Like, I ain't got no problem.
Immediately fear.
You're fearful of, if I get pulled over, this could go all the way left, just with me not 10 and 2. Let me just do my 10 and 2, and I'm just gonna do my 10 and 2. And that's just that.
So let me ask you this question then. Although the young man was within his rights, in the movie, hypothetically, could we have said that the dad should have had a different kind of conversation with his son growing up? Again, I don't know if you all had the conversation, but, I was always told, and again, Detroit still was a little different because the majority of the cops that we always encountered were black. And again, in the 70s and 80s, and even some of the early 90s, we knew half of the police. Police were at our school. They got their hair cut where we did, got their car fixed. They were in the neighborhood. Where I always remember that when Coleman Young was the mayor of Detroit, there was always a thing about residency, which I think is always very important. If you live in a town, your police should live there too. They should know the people in the community. But however, should have Nate Parker's character have had the talk with the son?
Well, I think that the part that you missed in that is
he did have a talk.
He did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Because he was learning about the Supreme Court in his school, and he was teaching it to his friends, that these were the things that he were learning. And the problem is that you cannot, you can't forcefully express this to police in the heat of the moment, even though the boy's right? You do have rights in the situation. I can, a friend of mine, client of mine, Brent Leader, who is a great attorney, criminal, attorney, and also he has a Cop Stop as his law firm, and where he actually helps with people who have been wrongfully arrested by the police. And he says all the time, you have rights. These are the rights that you have. But if you express these rights to the police in the heat of the moment, the gun is not going back. It's only going to continue to...
Comes out.
It's going to get escalated more and more and more. So your job, which is our takeaway from this situation tonight, if you're in a situation with the police, you get an attorney. Call an attorney. Let someone represent you. You can't be up in the police talking about, yeah, you know, and we go even with the one boy, when the black police officer came, when the black sergeant came to the house, and to talk to the mom, and the boy was like, yeah, you need to get the hell out of here. You ain't nothing but hey, little man.
Oh yeah.
But hold on though. Think about how this went down. First, the boy was like, yo, you need to get out. Low key, the cop was like, no, I'm taking control of the scene by his presence. And the other, think of how crazy these cops are at that point. Like, you asking this woman for her help, and you going to try to take over the scene at her home. You should have said, you know what, I'm going, out of respect, I'm going to let Mrs. So-and-so determine what we need to do, blah, whatever. And the idea that even when they were handcuffed in the precinct, that they were standing up beefing when the other dude, like, yo, that's another level. Like, you would think, like, you handcuffed. Yo, they've already opened fire up in this piece once. They got you outgunned because these cats came in there with, semi-automatic to automatic weaponry. And they were heavily armed too. They got y'all to surrender and they handcuffed you. And the white cops was just like, I'm gonna stand up and just cuss you out. With theoretically speaking, should have been shot just for standing up and running your mouth.
So much violence, man.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Chill.
Anyways, watch American Skin. It's a good movie. It started out a little slow as well, but it's cute. It's kind of like, if you want to, take a day to binge watch, like, these are the two movies you can binge watch. Take a Saturday, keep your pajamas on, get you, a little bottle of wine or whatever it is that you drink and some popcorn.
Bottle of wine before you go out in your pajamas. Don't go out in your pajamas. Spud talking about the pajamas. We ain't doing that.
Listen. If you're in between the movies and you like, oh man, I gotta get me a drink, go out with your pajamas, go grab you a drink, come and watch these movies. Life's gonna be all right.
So Spud, can we shout out the snitches really quickly? Because I know you're gonna end me real quick.
Snitches?
All the snitching that's going on over the Capitol riot. The daughter who snitched on the mom.
There's a lot of snitching going down. There's a lot of snitching going down.
The people at work. Yeah, the Bumble app. No, you know what? You're right. I had to ask my wife. No, it was something else. It wasn't Bumble. It wasn't Tinder. It was some other app that whatever. Because I had never heard of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in these streets like that. But I remember Maynard a couple of weeks ago talking about they had to own this. And I kept telling Maynard, that ain't our business. And if you see, it's a lot of snitching going on. So we're going to continue to sit back, watch, laugh. And, I'm still questioning a lot of the charges, but it's a lot of snitching going on right now. Because when the lesbian daughter told on the daddy, the uncle, and something else, I said, good God Almighty.
Yeah. Well, Joe will be in there in 2 days.
2 days.
We will have a new regime.
Joe's working on the 1400 right now.
Joe was.
Well, I didn't get my first stimmy. Where my stimmy at?
I ain't got that yet either.
He's working. Joe was working, doing his thing. Hopefully, we will have. Hopefully, we will have some peace, and we won't have any chaos. But I don't see these boys going quietly.
No, they're not. But I'm trying to figure out, is Kamala, how's she gonna dress for the ball? Like, because
I don't know if there's gonna be a ball.
Ain't gonna be no ball?
I don't know.
But they had D-Nice on deck.
My dude, it's so brought down right now. I think they just gonna try to be like, look, you do, I do. All right, she does, we do. Let's go and get some work done. One of the things that
go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
They talking about they're gonna have 25,000 in a minute. Like, they already like 17, 18,000 troops in town. They're gonna have 25,000 by the time he raises his hand at noon. And I don't
And
know.
man, you know what I'm saying? For real, before we go, real talk. Like, yo, man, yo, be careful, man. These boys is from your neighborhood, man.
Yo,
Yeah,
they
dude.
from. Yo, you talking about my neighborhood? There were cats in Michigan trying to kidnap the governor. They, some of
Yeah,
them
but they
ain't
weren't
got.
in Detroit, though. These boys is in Norfolk. These boys is in your backyard.
Yeah,
You
I
could
ain't-
probably go to the liquor store, and you probably could pull up on one of them boys.
I know. I'm pretty sure I was standing next to one the other day when I was buying some scotch. Yeah, but whatever.
But again, Maynard, this is another example, and Spud, that Big Gretch, one of the safest places in the state for her would have been on Mac and Bewick.
Oh yeah, we wouldn't have been having
There is safety in the black community. And what some people call the ghetto, there is safety there. Trust and believe.
Is that what the movie Bullworth was trying to teach us?
Yes, there is. We're taught that the hood is all bad, but it's not. There is safety and peace in the
Warren
hood.
Beatty still alive?
Yeah, I think Warren Beatty's still alive.
All right, we're digressing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us for this episode of Three Black Guys with the Mic. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Calvin. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Emmanuel,
Tashawn.
Danielle,
Keisha.
Deshaun, Lakeisha, Trishawn. That's what you just said. That.
Shorty.
Everybody else who joined us tonight. Shout out to Marcus. Thank you so very much for checking in with us as well. Make sure you check him out on Clickbaity, The Political Thirst Trap. On 8:30, I think you can catch him on Facebook and YouTube as well.
Thank you, Robbie.
Dudes. We will be back again on Monday at 7 o'clock. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Also, share this episode on your page so that way we can get more views, more people can know what we're doing, know what we're talking about, and we can get more people a part of the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that way you can subscribe to the channel. Also, get the alerts so that way you know when we go live. Hit the click reminder. It says get reminder.
Get reminder. I never get the reminder.
Get the reminder.
I never get that.
Get the reminder.
I'll get it.
Get the reminder so that way as soon as we go live, it comes up on your phone. And then you can hit share. It can come up on your friend's phone. And your friend's phone. And your friend's phone. So, share this episode. You guys be safe. Have a fantastic week. Wear a mask because the numbers are rising. And the UK virus is here. And there's not enough vaccines for everybody. Not enough vaccines for everybody. All right? So wear a mask. Peace out, y'all. Y'all be safe.
Merry Christmas.